the Raw Boxing TV studios, your host, Ranger. Information may cause headaches to hates or bias casual fans.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
The host that gives you facts with very little feelings. From the city of the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, the man who floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
Louisville, Kentucky. It's showtime.
What's going on, people? Welcome to Raw Boxing TV. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I've been missing. You know how it is with me. It's the same story. I ain't got to tell you. Lack of time, yada, yada, yada. Same thing over and over again. But we're here today. We're going to talk about this past week of boxing, past week of MMA. Maybe we'll dig a little bit into the event that generated over 1 million pay-per-view buys. The legal bank robbery, as I call it. The event that had a lot of people with high hopes, ignoring the warnings that channels like this one's, channels like D-Style, G-Funk, Punch Drunk, were giving you. Hey, it is what it is. That's the name of the game. Just to remind you, as you come in, hit the thumbs up. If you don't mind, grab the link to this live stream, drop it in your social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram. You never know who might be interested on this kind of content. It's interesting what's going on here lately, to be honest with you. Let's tone the music down a bit. It's interesting what's going on here lately because you see the type of fights we've been getting when it comes to the YouTube deals and the YouTube things and the entire YouTube versus boxers type of thing. YouTubers versus MMA fighters. I believe this past weekend was a card of TikTokers versus YouTubers as well. I didn't even see that. I don't even know where it aired. I don't even know who fought. I don't even know nothing about it, but it took place. With that in mind, you know, as a boxing fan, as a hardcore boxing fan, you have to take a step back and be like, what's going on here? Is this about fighting anymore? Is this about just entertaining, pure entertainment? Because don't get me wrong, boxing is entertaining. Boxing is entertainment. But it also possesses a background of perhaps a certain level of sports animosity between both opponents, followed by a set of skills that can lead the fight in a certain direction and therefore give you a specific type of fight that you might enjoy. A real fight, not a sloppy fight. And so as a boxing fan, you when you tune in to watch a boxing match, you tune in with those types of expectations. But when you look at YouTubers, TikTokers, for example, TikTokers versus YouTubers, TikTokers that are dancers and they're this type of flimsy little boys that are all skinny with triple, quadruple hair colors and full of earrings and like, hey, dude. And you see that you can just flick them off a table and that you know they have 0 to none fighting skills. And when you see them in there fighting YouTubers and it's being aired, then you have to start wondering, what is the future of the fight game in general? Listen to me. What is the future of the fight game in general? Because this is no longer about boxing. It's starting with boxing because boxing as of now is the entity that it's easily allowing them to come in. It's starting with boxing. But what makes you think that here pretty soon they're not going to be in the PFL, Bellator, all of these fighting entities? And soon, and very soon, because money talks, they be zipping into the UFC. What makes you think that that's not going to be the case? Because it seems that there is a level of acceptance out there for this type of things. Otherwise, they would not be putting them. If there wasn't a level of acceptance towards this type of fights, why put them at all? Why invest at all? You know, why invest at all? Trilla just pretty much. Tycho TV, what's going on, brother? Thank you for being here. Trilla took a place in allowing this pay-per-view to go through. And they did good. Business-wise, they did good. Anything that sells you over 1 million pay-per-view is a success, okay? And I mean, forget 1 million. If they would have thrown that pay-per-view event and they would have projected somewhere around the area of 600,000 to 700,000 pay-per-view, that would have been a good sell. Entry level to success. But they went very successful. They sold over 1 million pay-per-view. Logan Paul made $20 million. Jesus M, what's going on, brother? Logan Paul made over $20 million. Floyd Mayweather made over $120 million. Triller made their money. But their fans didn't make a lick of nothing. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the memory space we have in our heads to store images of good fights did not receive anything. It's as if you've worked on a project and then closed it without saving it on purpose because you didn't like it. That's what happened that day. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. Right now, it's this whole thing, this whole YouTubers versus TikTokers thing that took place as well. We'll get into the UFC 263. Congratulations to Moreno, I believe is his name, the Mexican kid that just became a champion at the UFC. Very, very, very successful, very charismatic. Looks like, the kid came in and he made friends within an hour with Israel Adesanya, Nate Diaz, all this. He was already friends with all of them. So I can't wait to see what goes on in his career. Looks like YouTubers did well in boxing in attendance. Yeah, they did very, very well. Very, very well. And the question is always going to remain, what kind of attendance? What kind of people are going to watch? It's not boxing fans. It's their followers. The followers are the one that are going to watch it. I'm hoping that out of those followers, they can come up with something, at least an extra 50,000 fans that eventually say, out of the millions they got, an extra 50,000 that say, you know what? I kind of like this boxing gig. I'm going to start attending this boxing gigs. I'm hoping. It's a hope. It's high hope, but it's not impossible. It's really not impossible. So let's get into ladies first, shall we? Let's talk about Clarissa Shields versus Miss Elkins this past week on a Thursday, I believe it was. Yeah, a Thursday. That's the PFL, ladies and gentlemen. It's a seasonal fight gig, you know, and they give it to you on a Thursday. They give it to you on a Thursday. So let's talk about it. And the very first thing I want to say is, look, first of all, congratulations to Clarissa Shields. She did the very thing I personally didn't expect her to do. She came out victorious in a fight that she was being doubted. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, that girl quit. I mean, that girl, this was a fake victory. This was all premeditated. No, because that's not what it looked like. Javier Avila, Senor Raw. I'm new to your channel. Good work, sir. Thank you, man. Thank you for being here. I hope we continue to have a good back and forward relationship. So yeah, I'm not gonna be the one that said that this was a fixed fight. By no means at all. By no means at all. And here's why. Because when you look at the way the fight took place, when you look at the development of the fight, you saw what was supposed to happen. You saw a girl with zero MMA experience losing rounds to a girl that, although did not have not even a good record, still had the experience over her. And although people were giving her rounds, the reality is Clarissa Shields was not winning any rounds. The thing is, a lot of people in Twitter were Clarissa Shields fans or boxing fans, and you can't judge MMA in the same way you judge boxing. There's too many elements to consider other than just a few good strikes. And so with all of those things in mind, Clarissa Shields was losing rounds. But Clarissa Shields showed, even throughout the rounds that she was losing, that she's an athlete, that she's a fighter, that she's experienced, that the pressure doesn't get to her. Clarissa Shields, throughout the entire fight, she showed one thing that I don't know why it hasn't translated to her knuckles. She showed power. She showed strength. And the reason I say it hasn't translated to her knuckles is because in boxing, she only has 2 stoppages, and they're not even knockouts. They're not. She's never put a girl on the ground and left her there. And I know she's a very strong girl. You can see it in her body composition. You can see it when she's fighting, even when they try to clinch her, how easily she breaks the clinch because of the strength she's got, right? So in this MMA fight against Elkins, yes, I know Elkins was the correct opponent to put her against, to introduce her to the MMA world so that she can at least have somewhat of a victory, somewhat of a good fight. Against Elkins, she did very well in the sense that she never gave up. She kept composed. She was very sharp in her hands, very, very sharp. Y'all didn't notice how much trap she was setting, and Elkins was falling for it. Oh, yeah. She would come to that mid-range, buckle her torso a little bit. Elkins was coming with that stiff fighting style that she's got, and the minute she would throw that punch, Clarissa will make her a miss and bam, capitalize off of it, right? What happened in the stoppage of the fight? Why did Elkins all of a sudden just stopped and went to a defensive position? This is what has people saying this was a premeditated fixed fight. And I completely disagree after watching it a couple times. I completely disagree. Because if you notice in the buildup to the girl going down, to Elkins going down, Clarissa Shields was able to land a nice counterpunch that dropped her. On the ground, Clarissa Shields landed another punch to the head. And I think that because Elkins being on the ground, not having a firm leg anchored to be able to deal with the impact of the shot, I think that punch hurt her a little bit, and she went on defense mode. Right? The question is, could Elkins have defended Clarissa a ground and pound? Yes, she could have. She could have. Why didn't she? Because I think the fear got to her. I think the pressure got to her. She felt the power. Then she felt the ground and pound. She felt the punches landing in her head. And she questioned, well, if I go for a straight arm reverse neck lock, which she could have done to stop the attacks from Clarissa. And in fact, once reversing that reverse lock, she could have actually turned Clarissa. She stopped doing that because of the simple fact that she was afraid that the minute she extended her arm, she would have continued, gotten hit, and maybe the outcome would have been worse. Did she quit in essence? Yes, but that's fight game. If you quit, that's not your opponent's responsibility to make sure that inside of you get a dog and say, I'm not quitting even if I die. All credits to Clarissa Shields for even putting Elkins in such a vulnerable position, for even putting Elkins in a position where she ignored completely the desire to survive and fight out of that position. All credit to Clarissa Shields for doing that. Now, I know for a fact that Clarissa Shields gets a lot of hate. I personally don't like 98.9% of the things that come out of her mouth. But in essence, I understand sometimes why she says this, the very things that she says. I think a lot of it is lack of knowledge on a lot of the subjects that she touches. a lot of it is keeping her name relevant because unfortunately, female boxing, female boxing, not female MMA, female boxing has been battling this lack of following since the moment it started. And no. Before y'all come around here talking about patriarchy and all that stuff, the simple fact that it doesn't happen in MMA should destroy your whole argument. This ain't about patriarchy or nothing like that. That's all BS. Female boxing has been fighting this lack of exposure, lack of acceptance because of the lack of knockouts. And yes, I do know that the science suggests that these girls should not fight 3 rounds because they're more vulnerable for fractures. They're more vulnerable to getting their head bounced. They're more vulnerable according to science. But unfortunately, the hardcore boxing fan is looking for action and is looking for knockouts from time to time. Is looking for blood. We hungry lions, right? Let me see. Jesus Shield doesn't tune her punches and torque her body. She doesn't, and that is the Olympics still in her. Remember, 13, 14 professional boxing matches is not going to take an entire amateur career out of you. It's just not. So maybe that's part of the reasons she's not knocking people out. It's because she still has that amateur effect of pop, hitting, snapping, and bringing it right back immediately to be in a defensive position. Maybe. Just a lot of things. Pound for pound boxing in the building. What's going on, brother? Thank you for being here. It could be many things. I do know she's very strong. I do know Claressa Shields is very, very strong. And to prepare for this fight, she didn't just went to anybody. She went to a tough camp, where in that camp she was training with the likes of John Jones, Miss Holmes, the preacher's daughter, somebody who was a world champion in boxing, a world champion in kickboxing, and a world champion in MMA. She surrounded herself with the right people that will bring her the right type of difficulties during training to allow her to prepare herself for an entry-level difficulty in the real match. And it worked up to a certain level. The ultimate goal that Claressa Shields being at the PFL, ladies and gentlemen, is one name. One name only. Only one name matters here. But we have to give her time. The name that Claressa Shields is going after at the PFL, or the name that Claressa Shields will have to face at the PFL in order to say, I am the lioness, is none other than Kyla Harrison, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in judo, who became an MMA fighter, won a tournament. Listen to this. And her paycheck to the tournament was $1 million when Claressa Shields doesn't even know what $1 million is. Kyla Harrison became an MMA fighter. Kyla Harrison already knew she was just top of the line, even better than Ronda Rousey when it came to the ground game, because 2-time Olympic gold medalist, extremely strong. This girl's so stocky and strong in training. You can see her picking up heavyweights and slamming them. So you can tell this girl got strength in her. She already knew all of that, so she did something smart. She would only train and practice her judo maybe once or twice a week, and then the rest of the week was wrestling, ground and pound, and boxing. Then she incorporated Taekwondo into her training. And little by little, you can see Kyla Harrison develop herself into a complete, so to speak, complete MMA fighter. Now, her stand-up game can use a little tweaks here and there, but let's give it time. G Funky in the building. What's up, my brother? How you doing? Thank you for being here. I think, though, that we need to lower the hype. I think that if they put Claressa Shields in there against Harrison, Harrison's going to eat her like noodles at a noodle shop without the chopstick. Harrison's just going to grab the noodle bowl and just chuck it down. And so I think they need to manage this girl very smart. Forget the criticism, forget all of that. Keep bringing her tomato cans so she can gain that feel, so she can gain that experience. Have her dare go for a submission once in a while. In order to bring Claressa Shields to Kyla Harrison's level, you have to do this. You can't just throw her in there. Keep bringing her Claressa Shields. Keep bringing her tomato cans. Easy oppositions, so her confidence can grow. So her ideas during MMA, during a match, can grow. So she can start seeing things that otherwise she would not see in boxing. Openings for a takedown, openings for a leg kick, combinations, put your opponent against the fence, bring her down. Those are things that you have to get experience on, and it's only going to happen little by little as you fight the right type of opposition. And ultimately, if Claressa Shields remains serious to this MMA gig, which I think due to financial differences, she will, because let's be real, you're not going to get, Claressa, you're not going to get $1 million in boxing. You probably hit it, but you'll probably hit it before or sooner at the MMA world. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Claressa done the right thing going to MMA. She will never be as big as Katie Taylor money-wise. I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's why I just said, she'll probably hit that $1 million mark in MMA before she even does it in boxing. Let's see. Jesus M. I thought boxing has the money. Boxing has the money, but boxing doesn't give you the money as easy as MMA would. When it comes, see, it's a very back and forward open subject. And here's why. On the male side of things, and I'm going to have a video this week touching about this subject, so I'm going to limit what I'm about to say. In the male side of things, boxing has more money than MMA when it comes to giving it to fighters. On the male side of things. In the female side of things, it seems that MMA gives more money to females than boxing does. But there's a new competitor, because in the bare knuckle circle, they get more money than boxing and MMA combined. So it's a toss-up situation. It's a thing where you kind of have to figure out what's going on and just accept what they give you so far. In boxing, I would love to see boxing be a little more loose when it comes to paying the girls, but not because they're girls. Hell no. Because this is ultimately a business. Forget all that social pressure stuff. Oh, guys get paid more than girls. Yeah, guys get paid more than girls, but we got to look at the bleachers when guys are fighting and then when girls is fighting. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I don't know. We have to move the round. Give it a try. Allow the girls for a 3-round option and approve it. Approve it. Too many times you've seen boxing matches that somebody's about to get a KO and then they saved by the bell. I've had a few female boxers in the channel, and we've discussed this. And they even have split feelings about this. When I spoke to Sulem Murmina, we had her on the show for about 2 hours. She has fought 3 rounds. She said there was many fights that she knew she was going to knock out her opponent. She had her hurt, and then bing, 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 bell saves her. I spoke with Kristen Martin at the round table, and Kristen Martin seems to think that if you have power, it doesn't matter whether you have 2 rounds or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You should be able to knock somebody out. But yeah, that's really, it sounds good. And it's kind of true, but not true. Not true all around, because whether you have power or not does not determine at what point during the round you're going to hurt your opponent. At what point during the fight you're going to hurt your opponent. Because if all he took was power to knock somebody out, and, the development of the fight had nothing to do with it, then power power punches will not be going more than 1 rounds. So I do think that the more time you have in there to work, the greater the chances are to get a knockout. Just it. I mean, that's just it. I know there's dangers in there, especially for the girls. I know that. But there's dangers in it for the boys as well. It's the fight game, ladies and gentlemen. It's the game where you're going to get hit while hitting people. So going back to Clarissa Shields, congratulations. I hope to see more of you in MMA. I wish you the best in MMA. I wish that you would sit down with a PR person, because I think that the things that come out of your mouth is driving people away from you. I know it did with me, even though, I mean, I started as a very strong supporter. Now I even stopped following this girl on her social media. It's just some of the things she says, especially when you hear her say things that have no factual evidence. I just don't want a part of that. But I do hope that she has lots of success in the MMA world, that they take her career slow, that they manage her career in a very smart way with the right type of oppositions, because I truly believe that a fight between her and Kyla Harrison will break pay-per-view numbers, and why not put a couple of millions in both of them girls' pockets? I truly believe that, ladies and gentlemen. I truly believe that. I truly believe also, and this is not crazy, this is something that actually would be beneficial for Clarissa Shields and any female boxer at that. I believe that if the bare knuckle circle keeps growing in popularity, the purses keep growing, I believe Clarissa Shields can then make a transition to the bare knuckle circle and dominate in there as well and make a lot of money. You seen this UFC chick that made $400,000 in 7 fights? Or it took 7 fights for her to make $400,000. And she went to the bare knuckle, and in her very first fight, they gave her $400,000. Right? I mean, you're already in the fight game. You're already here to get your face cut up, your eyes swelled up. That's what you chose. Why not explore other horizons as well, that where you will have an upper hand? Because I truly believe that Clarissa Shields will have an upper hand once her MMA career gets to the point where she's like, okay, I'm good. I can seriously see Clarissa Shields putting boxing in the back burner eventually. I truly believe she'll put boxing in the back burner. I can see Clarissa Shields saying, hey, you know what? They offering me $800,000 at the bare knuckle circle. Let me jump in there and see what it's like. And do you not think she's going to have success at the bare knuckle circle? You must be crazy if you don't think that. I would like to see Shields. Yeah. Plus, women in boxing are not active in fighting. Correct. The rosters is not big, Jesus. The female roster is not big enough. When you see how many women per weight division, it's not big enough. Yeah, she does says things that she doesn't even talk about. Yeah, correct. Jorge Masvidal is having his own bare knuckle promotion. Hey, man, like I said, the opportunities is there. The opportunities is there. But Jorge Masvidal, I think, is doing it on the underground. I hope he translates it to the actual legal circle, because bare knuckle fights, let me tell you something. I've seen a few of them. If you're not entertained, you're not really a fight fan. You're not really a fight fan. You see a lot of guys in there that they don't have the pretty skills, but man, it's a fight, man. It's a fight. And they go at it. And you see a lot of people twitching in the ground over there. You see a lot of people getting knocked out of that G-Funky. I feel she should stay at MMA. What else is there for her to do in boxing? Correct. But you know, G-Funky, it's kind of like when something is too easy for you, and they throw in you a little bills, couple bills, and you know, it's just like, let me just go grab this little bag, 100,000, whatever, because there ain't no competition there for me. Why not? Why not? Why not, G Funky? It's like if they told you, man, don't go out and pick up no kids today, man. Just take the bus to the truck wash, get it clean, park it. We'll still pay you. You're gonna do that. Why not? I do think she's gonna stay in boxing for a little bit, but eventually, when the money's too good, when she sees that she either has to be fully committed to MMA or not, I think she will eventually put boxing in the back burner unless a huge paycheck comes her way. Who knows? Who knows? That's just what I think. Just to remind you guys, as you come in, hit the thumbs up so YouTube can start sending the notifications, and grab the link and drop it in your social media platform. Also, follow me on my social media, RawBoxingTv, across Twitter, Instagram, Twitch as well. And if you're trying to support the channel through Cash App, is $RawBoxingTV. Let's move on to the next subject of the night, man. Let's take it to the next subject of the night. Hashtag 209, man. Stockton. Hashtag 209 Stockton. What can I say about the brother Nate Diaz? You can't hate on this man. I don't care who you are. You can't hate on him. You cannot hate on his brother. You may not like him because you're too soft. You're too soft to handle somebody that's willing to be real with you. And when you see them being real with you, you're like, oh man, they're just so street. Like, oh my gosh. You may not like that, but you better grow a pair, because these two guys, especially the Diaz brothers, let's be real here. The UFC has completely mistreated these two brothers throughout their entire career. Whether it's Nate, whether it's his brother Nick, when these two guys fight, the crowd goes crazy. When these two guys fight, the arenas sell out. And their paychecks have always been so not hand in hand with what they produce for the UFC. They just not. When we've always said that you get paid according to, what you produce, and that's true. But it seems that when it comes to the Diaz brothers, it's not true. It seems that Dana White is using these two guys. Anytime they want to fight, they fight. And Dana White allows them to fight because they know that it doesn't matter. They're going to fill the arenas. When you put the name Diaz, Nick Diaz, or Nick Diaz in your promotional boards, you know people are going to flood in. HLD in a building. Puerto Rico in the house. What's up, my brother? When you use this brother's last names, you just sell out the arenas. So my question then is, why hasn't Dana White ever been appreciative and fair to the Diaz brothers and pay them what they deserve based on the simple fact that every time they fight, they produce a crowd and they make the crowd go crazy? You're talking about last night, Nate Diaz, which by the way, congratulations to Mr. Edwards. Great fighter, very good fighter. Has worked to be where he's at, has developed his skills, has dealt with a lot of things in his career, but nevertheless, he's still here. Last night, you saw a Nate Diaz that, in my opinion, to be honest with you, a Nate Diaz that put pedal to the metal a little too late. A Nate Diaz that allowed Edwards to do what he wanted for too long. And so Edwards was picking Diaz up, the leg kick. Diaz, we've seen him have issues defending the leg kicks. We've seen it against Conor McGregor in the first fight and also in the second fight. We've seen him having issues, with that, defending those leg kicks. But nevertheless, the show was still there. You saw a back and forward of boxing as well. Nate Diaz is a person that knows how to box, but at times he's a bit sloppy. He's sloppy. And I think if he was to just choose to be a little more sharp, a little more stiff in there, I think he would do a lot better in the stand-up, although he's very good. It doesn't matter. I mean, Nate Diaz is a guy that has taken so much time off. I mean, he's taken so much time off, but he comes back and he still produces. Last night, in my opinion, he allowed Mr. Edwards to survive. When he had him hurt, and Edwards was so hurt that he dropped his hands, and Nick Diaz was pointing at him and walking towards him, there was openings for head kicks because the guy was so dizzy that his arms were hanging in order to keep his body balanced. But he did nothing about it. He walked towards him. He pointed at him. He was creating the show. And he didn't went for the finish. And when he decided to go for the finish, it was a bit too late. No, you go for the finish the minute those arms go down. The minute you see your opponent is hurt, you don't give him a second to breathe. You attack relentlessly, and that's it. I think Nate Diaz last night could have won that fight, could have finished Edwards had he put pedal to the metal when he should have. But he didn't. So it's his fault. And can you sit here and tell me that as a fan, you were disappointed by that fight? Can you honestly tell me that although Nate Diaz lost, that although Edwards won, can you look at me and tell me that you did not enjoy that fight? Can you honestly tell me that once they announce Nate Diaz's name again, you're not going to sit there because you don't have fun during his fights? Can you honestly tell me that? No, you can't. Honestly, you can. Of course, you could tell me that if you want to disagree with me, but you would be lying to yourself. Let me get caught up with the comments a little bit here, guys. I'm sorry. Jesus M. Attendance was big at Arizona. Lots of raza. But that's what I mean. When this kid fights, they get flooded, man. They get flooded. Hashtag 209, man. Who the hell called me? Give me a second. Hashtag 209, man. When these two guys fight, any of the Diaz brothers, people come out to support. Pound for pound boxing. What a fight between Nate and Edwards. Facts. Jesus. Yeah, Diaz could have popped him when Edwards was hurt. He could have detached his head with a roundhouse kick. But he didn't. HLD. What's made the Diaz brothers so famous are the same reasons they are going to pay the ultimate pride. Correct. Yeah. But they're not going to. They're not going to retire. You've heard Nate Diaz said that he's going to continue to fight till his body tells him no more. And they ask him then, when will you think that is? He said, never. They're going to have to kill me. Now, that's just talking. I know UFC eventually will let them go because eventually there will not be, but there's other entities that are willing to use the name, and they will give him a few fight deals, and they're going to continue to fight. And it's unfortunate. I get it. But they've made that choice. They have made that choice. They do take a lot of punishment, both of them. They have a lot of heart. But they need to, when in there, they need to implement a little more athleticism than street attitude. Because in the streets, you got the skills over everybody else. So you can drop those hands, come forward, But in there, you got people that have skills just like you or even better than you. And they know how to punch. They know where to punch. They know how to cause damage. And so I think once they fight, people's still going to come back and watch them. Now, let's move on to, and we'll talk a little bit about the Paul Mayweather thing. But we'll leave that for last. We'll just leave that for last. Shakur Stevens. Oh, brother Shakur Stevens. Brother Shakur Stevenson. Brother Shakur Stevenson. This young man, to be honest with you, when you see him fight, you can't deny he's got skills. When you see Shakur Stevenson fight, you can't deny he's got the goods. But that's the thing, huh? When you see him fight, you might say, well, what do you mean, Ranger? I see too many people falling asleep during his fights. And therefore, they miss a lot of his fight. And you know, throughout my entire YouTube career, if you want to call it, that I'm against the term boring because boxing is composed of many styles. But in the midst of styles, man, you got to produce a bit of action if you're trying to. Okay, let's put it this way. Just sum it up in a nutshell. If there's ever a pay-per-view with Shakur Stevens headlining, money stays in my pocket. You get it? I will not pay for a pay-per-view where Shakur Stevenson is involved. And before you come around here trying to talk about, well, you know, shoot, Floyd Mayweather, he ain't knocking nobody out, and he's selling pay-per-view. Yeah. But you forgetting about the past when it comes to Floyd. And I'm not just saying that because Floyd's my favorite boxer, or was my favorite boxer when he was active. I'm saying that because before we have money, we have Pretty. And Pretty was anything you would want in a boxer. Insane reflex, insane defense, insane speed, very good power, the will to come forward when needed to come forward, the will to box when needed to box, the will to mix it up anytime he needed to mix it up, the will to fight the best of the best, the flamboyance, the talk. I was Pretty. But then Pretty did his thing and said, you know what? Now I'm money. I'm all about the money. And the Pretty Foundation carried money till the day he retired. In fact, past the day of his retirement, because the man just fought a nobody and made $120 million and sold over 1 million pay-per-views. But when you talk about Shakur Stevenson, let's be real. Where was the jab? Where was the action? Where was the trap setting to incentivize your opponent to open up and allow you to work on him? Where is the time aggression that you got to put? Where is your willingness to offer something to the very people that are paying to be there and see you? It would be crazy, Shakur Stevens, if the guy that beat you in the Olympics, the guy who lost his professional debut, it would be crazy if that guy all of a sudden starts producing knockouts and you don't, and all of a sudden he starts getting a little more attendance than you. You might beat Oscar Valdez. You might beat Herring. That's not the point. If your whole objective here, I'm going to be dropping the link here in a few minutes because I want to hear from you guys. I haven't chopped that up with you guys in a minute. If your whole objective, Mr. Shakur Stevenson, is to simply remain undefeated, if your whole objective here, Mr. Shakur Stevenson, is to simply, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep that O because that O keeps bringing me fame. Congratulations. You've played yourself. You are suffering from the Floyd Mayweather syndrome, and you're not Floyd Mayweather because you've never been pretty. You've never done what Pretty has done. So therefore, with that O that you're trying to preserve, you will not go as far as Floyd Mayweather did with his O. Because Floyd Mayweather, no matter if people hate him or not, Floyd Mayweather had a era in his career where he fought the who's of the who's, the best of the best, and he knocked a lot of them out. Floyd Mayweather, by the age of 23, had already done great things in boxing. So you might be affected by the Floyd Mayweather syndrome of remaining with the O, but if that is the biggest accomplishment you have in mind, then you will not make it far in boxing. Perfect example. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is undefeated, 50-0, fought 16 world champions back-to-back, beat them all. But what is Floyd Mayweather's greatest accomplishment? It's 50-0. If we move on to Manny Pacquiao, what is Manny Pacquiao's greatest accomplishment? One greater than Floyd's. 8-time division world champion. Floyd fought 50 times, won them all. Look at Pacquiao's record. Look at Pacquiao's record. Who's greater? Pacquiao. Who's better? Floyd. Who has more money? You ready for this? Pacquiao has more money. Oh, how can you say that, Ranger? Yeah. If you got $100 million and I got $80 million, you live in the United States and I live in Cuba, I got more money than you. But you wouldn't understand that because you've never lived outside the United States. You wouldn't understand that because you've never dealt with money conversions. If you got $100 million in the US and I got $50 million in Cuba, I got more money than you. My money will take me further than yours will. So yeah, you can have the O, homie, Shakur Stevens. But can we at least see you try? Can we at least see aggression from time to time? Even if you don't get the knockout, can we at least see that you put forth the effort to bring a show? You know, guys, that I'm all about the pure boxer. It's not a secret. You can go back through my entire channel. You know that. But I need action. You might say, well, you used to support Guillermo Rigondeaux. I dare you to tell me the times that Guillermo Rigondeaux fought tougher positions and he didn't went out there and perform. Tell me. Tion Kennedy dropped him 4 times, then knocked him out. Amagaza, the 6'1" Japanese, he got dropped twice, and then he came back, dropped him, and ultimately knocked him out. Marroquin. When you look at Guillermo Rigondeaux, yeah, he's had his moments, but the guy has given us action. And when it comes to Guillermo Rigondeaux, there's a hate towards him. Past boxing. This is a hate that I don't know where it comes from, because even when the guy produced 4 consecutive knockouts back to back to back, 2 of those fights, which were very good, packed with action, people were still saying he was boring. But that's not what we have in Shakur Stevenson. What we have in Shakur Stevenson is a guy that's just it. Melatonin. I'm going to call him melatonin. Shakur Melatonin Stevenson. I try to give him credit. To be honest with you, I try to give him credit. But at some point, at some point when we paying subscriptions to watch these matches, we got to start demanding a little more. There's the link, guys. We got to start demanding a little more. So you get caught up with the comments. Shakur said he got hit and didn't like the way it felt. Reminded me of Victor Ortiz. Ooh, Mr. Lack of Heart Ortiz. Does Shakur have the power and pressure to get KO stoppage? Does he need the right opponent? I think he's got a little bit of pop. I think his willingness to just be a pure boxer is what's preventing him from producing knockouts. He may not have devastating knockout power, but you got a good pop. And when it comes to producing the right opponent, that's, you produce the right opponent for a contender to give him victory. But when you're at that level, every opponent in front of you is the right opponent. You have to find a way, even if you don't knock him out, to produce some type of action, or just just put up a fight that's gonna make people a bit entertained. But that's not the case. Unfortunately, it's not the case. See what G Funky says here. G Funky. Rigo had some not so entertaining fight, but Rigo were hurt guys and hurt him and get hurt himself, which were exciting fights. Facts. But you ask around, G Funky, and people still gonna tell you he's boring. Which that's what leads me to believe that the hate towards Rigo goes outside of boxing. It's not boxing related. I mean, the guy, and I don't want to make this about him, but the guy at his age has lost to only one person. That one person that's lost a couple of times now, right? Has lost to only one person. He's old. He positioned himself again as a world champion, and people still don't give him credit. At that point, what do? That's why I cannot be mad at what he said in his last fight. Because he said everything I just said. I've done everything. I've lost once. I've beaten almost everybody that's gotten in front of me. I've beaten everybody that's been willing to fight me in my weight division. And I'm glad that he said his weight division, because he fought Lomachenko 2 weight divisions outside of his weight division. I am untouchable at 122 and untouchable at 118. And people still don't like me. Therefore, from now on, I'm going to do my thing in the ring. And I'm going to fight however I want to fight. I'm glad he said that. You wanted a boring Rigo? Get ready. You're going to get a boring Rigo from now on, if that's what you wanted. Because now he's going to go to the amateur school. He's going to come in there and he's going to out-tag people. Because when he gave his best, you didn't like him. You was expecting his head to get detached by Nonito. That's where the hate started. You were expecting the left hooks of Nonito to come and just detach the man's head. And he came. And while you were expecting something, he didn't put a hole in your pocket. He took a scissor and cut the entire bottom of your pocket. And everything you bet against him went out the door. And that's where the hate started. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. Let's talk so we can start closing this since nobody's calling in. Let's talk about let's talk about Floyd Mayweather, shall we? Let's talk about Logan Paul, shall we? I think, like I said, if you paid for that money and then you were #refund all over Twitter, I think you deserved every penny that you lost. You deserve to lose every penny you lost. On the build up to that joke of a fight, all we did, boxing channels like this one, boxing channels like G-Funk, D-Style, Punch, all we did was tell you, this ain't worth it. This is not a boxing match. All we did was tell you the truth on the build-up for this fight, but no, according to you guys, we was just haters. We was just haters. Has Shakur Stevenson ever TKO anyone of any quality? I doubt it. I doubt it. And that's a big problem, Camper. That's a very big problem. That's a very big problem. We told you that this was not a fight worth watching, worth spending money in. We told you these things. But according to you, the reason we were telling you these things is because supposedly we're haters. Mr. HLD, what is going on, brother?
Hey, good morning, my friend. How we doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself, man?
Todo bien, man. Gracias a Dios.
Awesome. Awesome. Talk to me, man. We're talking about this mega event that took place between two of the greatest fighters of all time, Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Logan Paul. What's up?
Did they fight? I don't know, man. I didn't even know they fight. No, man. Look, man. I'm just talking shit. I understand with the purists that it takes away, but look.
It's a money grab.
It's a money grab, man, and let's keep it real. That this is how we make money in this country. You got something that sells, and then people that people want to buy, you sell it. I mean, alcohol is legal, marijuana is legal, anything that could be legal. I mean, if it could be legal and sold and bought, then that's how it is. I mean,
correct.
And hey, does it take away? I think in the sense maybe short term, like, yeah, damn, man, I've been fighting all my life and I'm not making millions of dollars like those guys. But one thing, Mayweather has earned his spot to do what he's got to do to make his money. That didn't just come free. The other kid, well, yeah, he's using his influence out there to bring in people to make this fight. But I think long term wise, people will start seeing this clown show, and then they're gonna be, and then when they see a real professional good boxing fight, they're gonna then shift. So you're bringing out those new fans in with the circus, but eventually they're gonna be like, okay, this is a clown show. And then when they see a real fight, they're gonna be like, dang, this is what I want to see. I want to see real fighting, and it'll bring it in. I think it's it is what it is. I'm not gonna bash on them for doing it. It's not for me. But correct. I'm not gonna bash them. I'm not gonna bash them. That's how I feel about them.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's entitled to do with their money what they will. But I've always been telling them, this is not a boxing match. This is not a match worth buying, in my opinion. But if you bite the hook, I don't want to see you on Twitter #refund. Because you bought what you wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you go to you go to a
buyer
liquor
beware.
Store. Yeah, you go to a liquor store and you see the bottle of whatever. It's very beautiful. They design it very good, beautiful labels. You go home, you pop it, you drink it, you don't like it. You should have read the ingredients, my homie. You should have read reviews on the product. Now you got no rights to be like, oh, I don't want this. I didn't like this to begin with. No, you bought it. It's yours now. And it's open. I'm not giving you no damn refund. I'll give you a refund if you can seal that bottle, but you can't.
It's like that commercial that's out there. I think it's with Liberty Mutual or something like that. The guy is outside selling wet teddy bears, and the guy gets served a wet teddy bear. He said, "I thought this was a hot dog." Like, nah, man, don't you read the sign? It's a wet teddy bear. So this is what it is, man. I mean, it's a wet teddy bear fight.
Yeah, man. Tony Boswell, thank you for the support, my friend. Always supporting the channel. Thank you. I didn't even know you was here. I haven't seen you in the comments section, but thank you for the support. Look, man, when it comes to this whole thing, like I said earlier, I hope it produces at least 50,000 out of all the millions of people that they follow him. I wish it produced at least 50,000 followers for boxing. I do take a bit of an issue when they postpone an actual legitimate fight like the Teofimo Lopez fight. When Floyd Mayweather pulls that kind of move, right? I do see how we, the purists, can be bothered by that. Because let's be real. What do you think as a boxing fan would have produced a lot more excitement this past weekend? I mean, the weekend before that. A fight between Logan Paul and Mayweather, or Lopez versus Kambosos Jr.?
Well, I don't. I think where it's wrong is not even in the boxing purist. It's just in the moral, value of of sense of things. To that you go out of your way in any part of your life to crap on somebody else, to take away from, it doesn't matter. It could be boxing, it could be anything in your job or whatever, that you go out of your way because you're just so much more important than anybody, with all disregard, and you just go in and become an opportunist. I think that's where I see that's the wrong part of it, that what they did. But I mean, it's legal, it's whatever it is, it's business. But
no, definitely.
But is it like moral? Not, I don't say like moral, but I just in sense of integrity and stuff like that, it doesn't fly with me. So I can agree with that sense.
Correct.
But it is it is what it is. I still think Teal's gonna do great this next Saturday.
Yeah, I hope so. I always say this because I love business, and I love the fact that somebody can produce something, sell it, and make wealth out of it, right? I say this when it comes to Mayweather, because I understand what Floyd's doing. Floyd has created this thing, and it's working, and all credit to him. I don't knock him for that. But I'll tell you this, if I go to the streets right now selling this tea bag already used, and I put a price of 100 million and you buy it, it's on you, homie. I didn't do nothing illegal. In fact, I didn't even do anything wrong. Here's why. Because it's my tea bag. I invested in that tea bag, and therefore I get to put the price on that tea bag. It is up to you whether you want to bite my hook or not.
He sold
it
us
is up
water,
to you
man.
to say, wait a minute, he's selling me a used tea bag that probably already has no flavor left in it for $1 million, when I can go to Walgreens and buy one for $5.99 an entire box, brand new ones. But if you pay me that $1 I'm giving you a used tea bag. Go on your way and don't cry about it. You make your choice. That's what Floyd's doing. And yes, it's not illegal. And at the end of the day, to be honest with you, I got kids fighting over here. And at the end of the day, to be honest with you, the more he does it, if he keeps working, he's going to continue to do it. My whole thing is, I don't want to see no #refund.
I think this will fade out, just like everything else. It's a fad right now. It'll fade eventually. I really think it'll fade. You know how every kid in America and even adults had those spinners just a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, the things. yeah.
Oh, everybody had one. It is. Where are they at now?
I remember people got crazy over that. You had doctors talking about like, oh, the spinners will give you make your joints go brittle, and then you had the spinners company talking about, oh, it's a stress reliever, and you had radical churches talking about it's the devil that invented that. He was like, oh my gosh, everything surrounding the spinners.
So it got all hyped up, right? And it made a lot of money. I mean, they made a lot of money. But where is it at now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's in everybody's garbage drawer or something like that.
Yeah. Camper Cat. Isn't Teofimo Lopez fighting somebody called, I forgot his name. Yeah, Kambosos. And it's going to bring a lot more excitement, I guarantee you, than the Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. And let me tell you guys something. This is something you guys might have not picked up on. Now, this is an allegations. I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor. Yada, yada, yada. What I mean, you should listen to me. Whatever it takes. The legal things. Logan Paul is on gear. Do I need to explain what that is?
Well, I mean, for the lamest terms, who don't understand that, right?
I think Logan Paul is on gear.
Yeah, I do.
Based on the quick body transformations, based on the definition, based on how quick his body can transform, regardless of age, there are chemical agents in dark helping. You might say, well, they probably tested them. Ladies and gentlemen,
No.
ladies and gentlemen, do we not know that money controls things? When are we going to learn this? So I think that he's allegedly on gear. And therefore, there was no way Floyd was going to get a knockout against a man that was that huge. Hell no. Absolutely not. So I think that these exhibition matches need to be more controlled when it comes to that, because it was so apparent that this boy was using chemical agents to get his body to be in shape. It was so obvious to those that's been involved in that world, that know the fight world, that knows what's going on, that look, let's be real. We can even say there was a bit of clenbuterol to shred. A lot of people say, oh, it gives you strength. No, clenbuterol is just a fat burner that helps you keep a little bit of muscle, but it helps you shred. But I can say there's allegedly a little bit of clenbuterol involved in there. And no, not through tainted meat. This is straight up clenbuterol, So amongst the other gears, only he knows, because there's plenty of things that can get his body in that shape that quick. So I'm not going to allege to any other type of gears, but I to see how quickly he shredded and how well defined he was, I could honestly say there's a bit of a clenbuterol involved in there.
I said the same thing. The first moment when they did the face off, I think during the weigh-in, and he had his shirt off and they did his face and you could see his back, and the dude was so vascular and shredded.
Yeah.
His back was like he was meant for like one of these Avenger movies, you know what I mean? I like, damn, this kid is not he's looking more like a bodybuilder with his physique. So I saw that. I immediately saw that he definitely was on something. But are they going to control it, man? Money is being exhibition and all that. I think that's where they're not gonna interfere with all that stuff, because it's not.
There's too much money playing. Yeah. Too much money in the way. Too much money. I mean, look, over 1 million pay-per-views sold. Okay, that right there should have told you everything. Triller wasn't about to let that go away. Are you kidding me? For all we know, Mr. Logan Paul could have failed 15 tests the night of the fight, and Triller would have made sure that 15 tests went through the shredder and never gone public. These are just opinions, allegations, not facts. What I'm saying is not a fact or nothing like that. But it was obvious. It was obvious. And here's why I'm, although it's all about money, when somebody gets really hurt during these little jokes, that's when people's going to start saying, what's going on here? Because that's what's going to take. It's going to take somebody being hurt really bad. Look, this fight coming up, Tyron Woodley versus his brother. Somebody better check them boys. Somebody has to check these boys, because I can guarantee you there's going to be some juice being flowing around.
Oh, I know Woods is going to be on it. He ain't going to be dumb enough not to.
Oh, you better believe he going to be on something, because we've seen a few things in the past that, the casual might be like, damn, look at his genetics, man. That guy looks so jacked. And genetics plays a big role. But it's kind of like a beautifully designed balloon, huh? It's got a beautiful design, but it takes some air to inflate it and make it a little bigger, right? It's just like that.
Woodley's performance has taken its toll with how naturally it's supposed to be as Father Time kicks in as of late. He is not what he was. And because because in the UFC, you can't. It's mandated. USADA is part of UFC. He can't get on it. And ever since UFC has brought in USADA, a lot of guys have fallen off the band. Off their high horse. And so I see Woody getting back on it, this kid is gonna he better be protecting himself, because now he's going against somebody who knows what they're really doing. in that sense. But in boxing itself, pro boxing, it's not mandated. You know, I mean, if that's only if you sign it on your contract that you want it.
Correct.
So you know, it's in boxing, testing is really a joke. The UFC doesn't play that game, and good for them. They you know, they have USADA, the most strictest company that does testing. So
Correct.
which was like that in boxing for, you know, because like that we have a, yeah, it should be.
I think it should be mandated in any sports that's people hitting each other in the head. Period. I mean, I think it should be mandated. That's a very serious thing to play around with. You know, we're not talking about you know, just pure jiu-jitsu where you're armbarring people and submitted them. No, we're talking about pounding your head, shaking your brain inside your skull. And I think any sport that is involved, where punching is involved, I think needs to be fully controlled. There can't be no vitamin IVs, Floyd Mayweather, and anybody else that does it. That we can't have HRT even if it's 100 milligrams a week, Victor Belfort. We cannot have clenbuterol on tainted meats, Mr. Canelo Alvarez. If we know that all of these things can bring negatives to your career, get away from it. Get away from it. And let's be real. Let's be fighting clean out here. You know. Now Canelo says that he was on the meat. Even if he was on the meat, dude, you're Mexican. You got professional around you. You got chefs. They should have told you. Just like the NFL doesn't allow their players to eat meat in Mexico, even before the Canelo Alvarez situation. If the NFL knew that the meat in Mexico is tainted with clenbuterol, just like it is in Switzerland, just like it is in Spain, if they knew this, then I know the Canelo's people, such levels of professionals, should have known, hey, Canelo, you better stay away from that meat, bro. Because it's going to make you pop. So I got to be real with you. When a fighter pops, I don't care the excuse. You're guilty, and you're guilty. I don't want to hear about, oh, the meat was tainted. I don't want to hear about, oh, I didn't know what I was drinking. Yes, you do. I don't want to know nothing like, well, my coach put it in the water and then I found out after the fight. I don't want to hear nothing. You knew it all, and therefore you're guilty. Now, does that mean that you will forever? I'm gonna forever attack you on that? No, you have. If you come back the next time and you pop clean, then the past is in the past. Yeah, it's your past now is just a reference to make sure that your future is clean. But I don't want to hear nothing about tainted meats. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Nothing. Because we're two professionals out here.
Yes.
You know, go ahead, HLD.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying. It's just that because there's so many loopholes and ways to get out of it are the excuses for what they do. But if you go, here's an example. I'm into and I follow wrestling, here in the United States, and Jordan Burroughs, arguably probably America's greatest wrestler in the past probably 50 years. And, he was on the Joe Rogan show, and he's talking about it. He's talking about a little bit of everything, and Joe Rogan, I guess, sells the CBD oils and stuff like that. That's legal. And so he offers some to Burroughs. Oh man, here, try it, man. It's good for your joints. This and that. Da 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 da. And he's like, no, man, I'm good. No, but go ahead, try it. It's legal. You want to like, no, man, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care if you're telling me it's legal. I don't care that I'm not taking something that, because he knows ultimately he's responsible if he pops. You see, and so it comes down to yourself. I mean, the problem nowadays is in this country. Everybody, for the most part, nobody wants to have accountability for their actions.
That is
nobody. There's always an excuse, always a BS excuse There's always a way because you can justify that something happened or didn't happen or and that's the problem. Nobody holds themselves to ultimate accountability, and so it really comes down to the culture and and if they can see they could get away with it and they're okay with getting away with it, then they're gonna they'll play the fine line to do things that they shouldn't be doing. So I agree. I totally agree with you.
And sometimes you don't really, and this again, this goes there's always going to be the opinion of the no nuts, the ones that don't know nothing about athleticism, sports. They just watch it, right? They're just in the screen being a fan of certain fighters. And so they'll say like, well, have these people ever popped dirty? Sometimes for the people that actually involved in the world, for the people that actually have seen things, sometimes you don't need to pop dirty for some of us to know that you're dirty. Case in point, didn't we have a guy that won Tour de France 7 times? And the only reason he became guilty is because he confessed to it, because he popped clean in every test. But the people that were in the sports knew what was going on. And for years, they were ridiculized and called crazy. Right?
Yep.
Sometimes you don't need proof when you know about what's going on, when you've seen changes on bodies. And look at this. Let's take Woodley, for example. And these are just, again, allegations. Woodley was destroying people, bro.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, UFC mandates a certain level of testing, and Woodley's no longer destroying people to the point he wound up getting cut from the UFC. Why the drastic change in performance from before and after the mandates of the test? Why the drastic change in performance? That's all I want to know. Why the drastic changes in his bodies? So I'm sorry if I disappoint you. Grab a pillow and cry me a river. But that's just the truth. That's just the truth.
It's the truth.
And I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, when it comes to this whole PEDS stuff, PED stuff, we need to leave nationalism aside, fanboyism aside, ethnicity aside, race baiting aside. Anybody that gets caught dirty needs to face the consequences, even if he is your same skin color, your same ethnicity, whatever, same country. He could have been born across the street from your house. Y'all went to school together. I don't give a crap. If it's dirty, you don't find excuses to make him look like he's clean. You know why? Because he's pounding somebody else's head while having gear in his system. So we can't complain if one day one of his opponents comes in dirty and detaches one of his retinas or breaks one of his orbital bones. You can't complain. We don't want to hear none of that. And that's why boxing, MMA, bare knuckle, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, all those things need to be strictly.
I was thinking all sports, man.
Yes, but hold on. But the reason I mentioned the ones I just mentioned is because we're going straight to the head. And for example, wrestling, I mean, I was a big fan in the 90s of WCW, WWF, then WWE.
Let me real quick. When I said wrestling, I meant Olympic style wrestling.
No, I know. Greco-Roman. No.
Yeah,
but I'm saying like sports like that, everybody's dirty. They know it. They approve it because they need to have the bodies and yada, yada, yada. Right. Yeah. But boxing, contact sport, man, we need to keep it clean across the board. And I don't care if it's Canelo. I don't care if it's Rigondo Gamboa. I don't care whoever it is. Teofimo could pop dirty. I don't care who it is. If you pop dirty, I'm coming after you. Period. Absolutely. If I even sniff that you're dirty, I'm coming after you. Period. And I'm going to talk about it, even if it makes a certain people mad, disappointed. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. Give me a second, HLD. Mama,
absolutely.
Here, answer this and tell her I'm busy, please. even if he makes people disappointed. So, but yeah, man, HLD, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, man. Got a few things to do today. I wanted to just put some content on the channel because I'd been missing for a little bit. And
yeah,
you know, isn't it a beautiful thing when you can just say, you know what, I'm gonna detox for a week or two and feel no pressure about it.
dude, it's you're better off. You're better off.
Isn't it a beautiful thing being able to speak freely without fear to lose subscription? I love it. Everybody can leave. I'll keep 5 of y'all. It's so good.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand.
If
that.
I
That's
say
why
things,
the channel thing for me is not for me.
yeah. If I say things that offend you and you don't want to be my subscriber, bye. I'm not forcing you to click on my thumbnail at all. But I'm gonna speak freely. I'm gonna speak what I think. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. And if you enjoy and rock with me, let's ride. But until then, man, HLD, man, I thank you for your constant support. And I want to thank Tony Boswell, obviously, for his support as well. And thank everybody that comes to the chat every time I come live and support the channel. We'll do another video this week. I'm going to have an MMA fan, somebody that knows about MMA a lot more than me. He's going to be joining me. We're going to be going over the Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul fight. I'm going to be rooting for Tyron Woodley, to be honest with you. I hope Tyron detaches that head, figuratively speaking. Of course, not literal.
And all, huh?
Yeah, I don't care. But you know what? I guarantee you Jake going to be juiced up too. Yeah. You think his brother going to do it and he's not going to do it? Come on. But we're going to be diving into that. We're going to be talking about other subjects as well. And hopefully it's a video that you guys will like. In the meantime, HLD, thank you again, man.
Absolutely, brother.
People in the chat, God bless everybody that's here today. We'll be seeing each other sometime this week, Wednesday or Thursday. And till then, we're out.